morning. Well, it's that time of the year that I need to start going through some of my frozen things and making room in the freezer because, as you can see from this photo of my tomato and pepper plants that I have growing, we're just about ready to put those out in the garden. When I say we, I mean me. So anyway, today I went through and I found 3 bags of frozen tomatoes that I wasn't able to get through the winter months. I typically grow my tomatoes to make salsas, canned tomatoes, sauce, diced tomatoes, stewed tomatoes, and I use those products all year long. And anyway, I always end up with a little bit left over. I can use it up over the next 2 or 3 months, and then I'm good to go. So I don't really buy any tomato products at all throughout the year. Occasionally I'll get some spaghetti sauce or something like that if I run out, but most of the time I have all of that on hand. So I'm just going to show you how I cook down my tomatoes. I just blend them up, add a little bit of salt, very little, and I can them. And I can use the sauce for everything. So let me show you what I have. And I'm basically going to just cook these down. And I'm going to add a tiny bit of water, but as you'll see, I'm going to strain the water off as they start to cook down, and the rest of this bag of tomatoes will fit in there as soon as these start to cook. Then I'm going to just take the water out, and I'll put the tomatoes that are left through the blender and then just can them up. It's really easy. It just takes a little while, does all the work on the stove for you. So as you can see, these tomatoes are already starting to, cook down on the bottom. I've got a little bit of water, but they're releasing a ton of their water from being frozen. Actually, it's an amazing amount. Look at that in this short period of time, just how much water these tomatoes have started letting go. It's amazing. Anyway, I'm going to try to get some of these skins off as soon as they get cooking a little bit better, and then I'm going to add the rest of the tomatoes. So now I'm just continuing. I've got a lot of the skins off of some of these other tomatoes, and I've put this new bag of, the bag that I had that was frozen in there. If I see any extra little skins, I'll pull them off. But honestly, if I have a few skins, it's not going to hurt anything. I blend all these up anyway. But I just try to get as many as I can out. And once these tomatoes start to defrost a little bit, the skins come off really easily. And so far, this is all of the water and skins I've got off so far. Now, if you strain this out or you want to cook it up, this also can make a really nice base for a soup. So I probably will do that. But for now, I'm just focused on canning up the sauce that I have. And I'll be draining all the water off that I can, and then taking everything out and putting it in the blender. So I've decided that since I got so much watery juice from all the tomatoes, that I'm going to go ahead and strain as much of the seeds and the skins off as possible, and I'm going to go ahead and can that too. It'll be a great base when I make soup or anything else. I might as well take advantage of it. So I'm just getting ready to blend up my tomatoes and show you that process. So all I'm going to do at this point is just take a little bit of my tomatoes, try to get some of the water off. And I'm just going to put them in a blender. Now I know a lot of people throw everything in the blender, and I really just do a little bit at a time. It just makes it a little bit easier for me. And as you can see, even by doing this, you're still going to get a lot of juice in your tomatoes. So I just blend these up like so. That's it. I don't even recook them. All I want's the sauce. And then I take a jar. I've got everything starting to cook up. I'm using my pressure cooker as a canner. It's not being used as a pressure cooker today because the tomatoes, they only need a water bath to seal them and can them. So I'm going to take a hot jar. I know it's kind of a crowded process here. I'm not usually blending up while I'm doing all this. We're just going to put that right over the jar, like so. Now all I'm going to do is just make sure there's no air bubbles in the sauce. I'm going to fill it to 1 inch, which is this top rim here. And then I'm going to clean the top. Forgot my lemon juice. Okay, that could have been a disaster. You need to either add citric acid or bottled lemon juice. Now in this case, it's going to call for 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And you can omit the salt if you like, it's just for flavor. Or you can add it, either way. I put in just 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and like I said, this is just for flavor. So let me do that. And you don't even need to stir it up. You've already done that. I am gonna wipe the lid or the jar again, just because I've opened it. And then I'm gonna put my lid on, and it's ready for the canner. You couldn't do anything easier. So there we go. I'm just gonna do one more for you. That right there. I'll put the lid on. That's it. I just like doing one at a time. So again, I'm going to do this to within 1 inch of headspace. I'm going to put in my lemon juice and my salt, like so, like so. And I also put in, you shouldn't use any kind of iodized salt. I use a kosher salt, but if you want to use a canning salt, that works just as good. I'm gonna just clean the lid, or I don't know why I keep calling it a lid, it's a jar. And I'm gonna put my little lid in, and then I'm just gonna tighten up the cap and put it back in the canner. And that's really all there is to canning. So what I've done here is I have just strained off all the skins and seeds, and I have kind of a tomato juice. I'm just going to can this up as well. It'll do 2 things. It'll fill up my canner, and it'll make a great base for soups and chilies and things like that. So I can use this in substitute of a broth. So I'm just gonna work at this. It's gonna be the same process. You're gonna fill it to 1 inch of headspace. And then we're gonna do the same thing with the salt and the lemon juice. So let me work to get this done. And then the canner is already heating up, so as soon as I have that to temperature, I'm going to be, canning that for the time that it's required. Well, I guess I better put my lid on. Yes, I was having a senior moment. The tomato sauce does not get water bath canned, it gets pressure canned. So I took some of the water out of the pressure canner. All problems are diverted for the time being, and I'm just going to bring that up to the venting process. I'll let it vent out of the little hole for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to bring it up to 10 pounds of pressure, which is the pressure in my area, and I will can these for 15 minutes. So if you have any questions about the canning pressure or time or anything like that in your particular area, you'll want to look up the information from the USDA. They actually have a great website that will tell you exactly like what the pressure needs to be, if it's water bath or pressure canning. And anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take care of that, and I'll be back and show you what it looks like when it's all done. So I ended up, out of those frozen tomatoes, I actually got 5 cans of tomato sauce, and I got 4 cans of basically like a tomato juice. So I'm going to show them to you. They look kind of funny when you first can sauce. It usually doesn't, it usually separates to some degree, but within 24 hours, it looks just like sauce again. So as you can see, the tomato sauce really has kind of a liquid down at the bottom, and then it's got the actual tomato at the top. This will all settle. That happens with a lot of vegetables. With the juice, it's not quite as noticeable. But anyway, this is what I was able to get. I'll try to get a picture of it tomorrow after all the bands are off and I've cleaned everything, just so you can see what it looks like. Now this is what my tomato sauce ended up looking like. As you can see, it's kind of settled at this point, but there was quite a bit of siphoning off from my sauce, but that is because I started off water bath canning when I really needed to be pressure canning. So the sauce is fine, everything's going to work out fine, and this will be great to use in my pantry. Thank you for joining me today on this canning job that I did. I appreciate you joining me. I hope that it was helpful. If you have a lot of frozen tomatoes, as I said, I'm making room for this year's harvest that's going to be coming up, so I'm trying to make room in my freezers. And if this is interesting, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment. If there's things you'd like to see me can or things you'd like to see me do, just let me know. I appreciate you joining me, and have a great day. Bye-bye.